Hey, good morning, guys. Say, I think I've got a video that's worth your time today. The other day, my wife and I were driving down the highway, and we noticed that suddenly, at the same time, both high beam lights failed. Everything else in the car was working fine, but we couldn't turn the high beams on. Now, when you look at the dash, you'd find that that blue light on the dash was saying the high beams are on, but they weren't on. And when you pull the control switch back towards you to try and, as it were, flash the high beams, that wouldn't work either. So sudden failure, both high beams. What's the diagnosis? Let's work it up. Well, by the time we got home, I pretty much decided the next step would be to check for a fuse. Because of a lack of detail of the owner's manual and the complexity of the hybrid system, I wasn't surprised that I couldn't identify which fuse was the active one. And so from here, you usually go onto the dealer's repair manual to try and figure out which fuse you're dealing with. In preparation for that, I did a quick code search with a code reader looking for diagnostic codes, and there are no codes active. Well, when people talk about manuals, they often meant the old paper manuals. This is the old Haynes manual, and it was good enough, relatively inexpensive, often lacking detail. The official dealer service manual was better, but way more expensive. Lots of detail, but a lot of money. Both of these are pretty much outdated now. Neither can be updated for errors or TSBs, and so there are better options for about the same price as the old Haynes manual. Well, in terms of access to manuals, you could go direct to the dealer, but that tends to be really expensive. Or you could buy copies off of eBay on discs, but then you don't get the TSBs or the updates. A better option is to go with an online service provider like Mitchell or ALLDATA. I think they're both excellent. I tend to use ALLDATA, and I've been surprised at how close they are to the dealer's manual, often direct copies from the dealer's manual. In the dealer's manual, there's usually a chapter listing symptom-based algorithms, and here's what they say to do if both high beams fail. First, you check the main fuse, and then you check the individual left and right fuses. And if those are okay, then you go to the bulb. And so we're going to do that now. Now, here's where the fuses are, and here's some of the wiring diagrams. Interestingly enough, even though they're only halogen bulbs, you need activation of at least 4 electronic relays before those bulbs will come on. So the circuitry is really complex. One thing I stumbled across in the dealer service manual is a series of TSBs describing a warranty enhancement program for people who have abnormal fluid accumulation inside the headlight lens. The lens is not designed to be completely watertight, so the condensation of moisture inside the lens will have somewhere to go. In some vehicles, the fluid accumulation has led to headlight failure, and in that case, Lexus will replace the whole lens assembly for free, even if your vehicle is beyond the normal warranty period. In my case, there was no evidence of this to date. Okay, let's go for that fuse. In a minute, I'll show you how these little plastic tabs work. You don't want to lose them because they're worth about $1 each. This is the fuse box we're interested in. Well, I can't help but take a moment of your time and show you this ingenious design. This is the plastic tab that's taken out, and you can see when you take it out, it squeezes in easily. To recharge it, what you do is you pull back on these plastic tabs and wiggle, like that, and that creates a situation where it'll slide in easily. And you can see the tab is all the way out now. Once you get it in place, you click it halfway, and so there it is into a fixed position. It holds it. That's the way it rests in the car normally. And then to get it out further, press in all the way, and it slips beyond a little notch there, and it compresses easily. What a great design. Okay, this one here is a 40 amp fuse, and I've just checked out with my multimeter, and it's good. These are the two individual left and right upper fuses, and they're both good as well. So let's move on to the bulbs. Well, I've tried to get you a good view of these bulbs. This is the high beam on both sides, and I guess you're going to have to take my word for it until I get the bulbs out. These bulbs both look bad to me, which has me shaking my head and wondering why would it be that both bulbs would suddenly blow out at the same time. All right, I've given you a funny camera position just to make it easier for you to see. The camera's actually sitting on top of the engine looking forward and to the left, and this is the left side of the vehicle, and this is the to the right side. This is the front of the vehicle, and that's the back of the vehicle. And the device we need to get off is right here. And it's got an electrical connector right here. and there's a little locking tab. So what you do is you take a little pocket screwdriver and slide it in right here, and then when you get it in the right spot, you twist, and that pries that little locking tab back, and then once it's back you can take your hand and slide that connector off. Make sure you don't pull on any wires. The wires are pretty short, so it's actually easier to do it this way than it is to try and take it off the lens and then undo the wires. Once you get the electrical connector off, then it's a very conventional mount, very similar to most lights. That is, you turn it 1/4 turn counterclockwise, and then the bulb comes free. The passenger side access is just as easy. I found it easier to undo these two bolts. That gives me a little better access so I can get my hands in here properly. Now I should mention that whenever you're working on a hybrid, as a point of safety, you should keep the key well away from the ignition. In fact, it's probably wise to keep it back in the house so that any devices are in their resting state, and that just makes it a little safer for you in case you were to accidentally touch one of these orange wires. Well, for my vehicle, this is the Napa part number 9005, as opposed to the 9006, which has a little bit different notch in there. You see this one has a two-pronged notch, and the 9006 has a one-pronged notch, so it won't fit in if you get the wrong one. Now, I look at this old one. This is the old one here, as opposed to the new one over here. And you can see the old one's got this blown-out glass because the pressure in here is really high in these halogen bulbs. And so when the glass overheats, not only does it blacken as it has here, but also the glass is bulged out, and you can imagine that exploding if there was an issue. So they get really hot, and be careful with them. The other thing is, of course, the grease from your fingertips can deposit itself on the glass, and any sort of debris or grease or problem in that glass can translate into reduced life. And so when you put the new one back in particular, make sure you don't touch the glass with your fingers. I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes, but I like to spread a little dielectric grease on the connector so that I don't get moisture into the connector and hence cause corrosion. Okay, well guys, the problem's fixed. Two bulbs, $10 each, and I've been driving the car now for a couple of days and no recurrence. And so I'm still left with a bit of an uneasy feeling that why did this suddenly happen? Why did I suddenly get two bulbs burn out at exactly the same time? Was there some kind of a voltage surge, and is this something that might happen with this vehicle? Well, I searched that problem online, and in fact I found at least one thread where one of the pro techs that contributed made a comment that he'd seen this several times with the RX 400H, so it's some kind of idiosyncratic thing related to this particular vehicle. As far as why it might happen, I'm not sure. In any case, if this video helped you out and you want to see more of them, please hit like or subscribe or leave a comment. I'd love to hear what others say. Thanks for watching.